Okay. So sickle cell anemia, as we discussed yesterday, yesterday's lecture will get little bit interrupted due to internet connection, but today there is no problem. Can take this topic. Very important clinically for clinical pathology, that is hematological disorders, hemoglobinopathies. Okay. So this is a topic from hemoglobinopathies. As we discussed yesterday, there are two type of hemoglobinopathies. One type, it is associated with alteration in the amino acid structure or polypeptide chains of the globin fraction. Am I audible to you?
Hello.
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
okay, okay.
Hello.
Yes,
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
okay. So hemoglobinopathies, it is of two type. Alteration in the amino acid structure of polypeptide chain of the globin fraction of hemoglobin. Globin fraction of hemoglobin is the first type, and commonly it is called as abnormal hemoglobin. And this sickle cell anemia is of this type, that is alteration in the amino acid structure. So which alteration it happens? Yes, we discussed yesterday. What is that alteration?
Glutamic acid is substituted by the valine.
Yes, yes. Glutamic acid, very, very right. Glutamic acid is substituted by valine. So this type of alteration that occurs with amino acid structure of polypeptide chain. Okay. And the second type we are going to discuss, that is thalassemia. It is nothing but amino acid. In this amino acid sequence is normal, but polypeptide chain production is impaired. Amino acid sequence is normal, but polypeptide sequence is abnormal, or polypeptide chain production is abnormal, or it may be absent. It is called as thalassemia. Okay. So this is how the sickle cells they looks, sickle shaped cells. So this is of normal biconcave shape RBCs. This red cells, they are biconcave shape. And here in this sickle cell anemia, we get this sickle shaped cells. Okay, no changes in the white cells and no changes in the platelets also. But only changes they are related with the RBCs. And this abnormality is due to some alteration in the amino acid structure of polypeptide chain of the globin fraction of hemoglobin. So because of abnormal hemoglobin, this happens. And which type of hemoglobin is become abnormal? That is hemoglobin S. Hemoglobin S is the abnormal type of hemoglobin. So it is a serious disease in which the body makes sickle shaped cells, red cells, and sickle shaped means the red cells, they become a shape like a C. Okay. So this abnormality, it is related with sickle cell anemia. Now, sickle cell disease. What is sickle cell disease? It is an important hemoglobinopathy, that is a type of disease which is characterized by production of defective hemoglobin. It is a type which is related with the production of defective hemoglobin. Now, what is the pathogenesis of this type of hemoglobin? What happens exactly when the hemoglobin S get deoxygenated? Okay, when this hemoglobin S, it get deoxygenated, one molecule of hemoglobin S get polymerized to form a pseudocrystalline structure which is called as tectoids. And these tectoids, they distort or disrupt the red cell membrane, and a typical sickle shaped cell appears. Okay. So what is pathogenesis of sickle cell disease? This pathogenesis, it is related with deoxygenation. It is related with deoxygenation. Whenever this hemoglobin S get deoxygenated, one molecule of hemoglobin S get polymerized to form a pseudocrystalline structure. It is called as tectoids. And because of this formation of tectoids, they distort the red cell membrane. Distort or disrupt. This is initially reversible. This distortion or destruction, it is initially reversible phenomena. With oxygenation, this HbS get depolymerizes and the cell shape get normalizes again. So this is initially, in initial stages, in primary stages, this phenomena, it is reversible. Whenever the oxygen supply get corrected, this HbS get depolymerizes and they get again the biconcave shape. They appears in the normal shape. However, what happens? The repeated episodes of sickling membrane get damages. This membrane get damages and the cell become irreversibly sickled. So whenever there is repeated episodes of sickling occurs, this membrane get damaged permanently. Okay. Number of factors that affect the rate and degree of sickling. Now, there are various factors which affect this rate and degree of sickling. What are those factors? First factor, very, very important part. First factor is amount of hemoglobin S and its interaction with the other hemoglobin chains in the cell. The first factor which affects the degree of sickling is amount of hemoglobin S and how it reacts with the other hemoglobin. That is the part which affects the rate and degree of sickling. Second is the rate of HbS polymerization. It is strongly depending upon the hemoglobin concentration per cl, per cell. Okay. So the rate of HbS polymerization, the rate by which this polymerization occur, it is depending upon the hemoglobin concentration per cell, that is MCHC. Higher the HbS concentration increases the possibility that aggregation and polymerization will occur during any given period of deoxygenation. Whenever there is higher concentration, MCHC is higher, the concentration of hemoglobin is higher, and the possibility increases that there is aggregation and polymerization will occur in any phase of deoxygenation. Okay. So first part we discussed, that is the amount of HbS and its interaction with the other hemoglobin. The second is the rate of HbS polymerization. It is depending upon MCHC, hemoglobin concentration per cell. Third factor, pH, related with pH. A decreased pH reduces the oxygen affinity of hemoglobin. Okay, whenever this pH decreases, the oxygen affinity towards hemoglobin is increasing the fraction of deoxygenated HbS. Okay. So this pH is very, very important. Normal pH, when the pH decreases, it reduces oxygen affinity of the hemoglobin. Fourth factor, the length of the time red cells are exposed to the low oxygen tension is very, very important. The length of the time of red cells which get exposed to the low oxygenation tension is again the important part which affects the rate and the degree of polymerization. Okay. The normal transmit time for red cell passing through the capillaries increases in cases of sickling of red cells and in case of sluggish blood flow. Normally they can pass very easily and very fastly, but whenever there is, due to this sickling of cell, that is due to this abnormal shape of the cell, or whenever the blood supply becomes sluggish, this normal transmit time get increases. That will affect the rate and degree of the sickling. Okay. So these are the factors which affect the rate and degree of sickling on polymerization. Now the pathology. As we discussed, yesterday, when both parents, that is with this AS chromosome abnormality, AS type of genotype, genes are present, then there are four possibilities we discussed yesterday. The first possibility is of normal AA genotype. Two possibilities of formation of this heterozygous trait, heterozygous genes. Okay. Two possibilities of heterozygous carrier. AS, they are the heterozygous carrier. We call them as a sickle cell trait. And SS, they are the homozygous trait that they carries the sickle cell anemia. They are having the sickle cell anemia. AS, their genotype, they are heterozygous genes and they are the carrier, sickle cell trait. They carries this trait but doesn't get affected by itself. They himself does not get affected. They just act as a carrier. But SS genotype, that is homozygous trait, they are the sufferers of this sickle cell anemia. So these are the four possibilities of the offsprings. The offspring may be of genotype AA, the offsprings may be of genotype AS, and the offsprings may be of genotype SS. AA, they are normal. SS, they are the carrier, heterozygous carriers, AS, and SS, they are the homozygous. They are the homozygous. So the patients, now what is the geographical pathology? High incidence of this HBS in the equatorial Africa, that is Nigeria and Uganda. High incidence of this abnormal hemoglobin S, it is mostly in the equatorial Africa, that is Nigeria and Uganda. Most of the homozygotes die before reaching to the puberty. Most of these homozygotes, they dies before reaching to the puberty. Heterozygotes, that is AS, they got better survival than the normal homozygotes. Heterozygotes, they got better survival than the normal homozygote genes, that is AA. Heterozygotes are resistant to the Plasmodium falciparum malaria. These are the characteristics of homozygotes and heterozygotes genotype. Homozygotes, they die before reaching to the puberty, but heterozygotes, they got better survival than the normal also. And these heterozygotes, they are resistant to the Plasmodium falciparum malaria. Okay, got my point? You are getting my points?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, the symptoms in relation with pathology. What are the symptoms related with the pathology? The first symptom is of hemolysis. It happens in 20 days. To compensate the loss, there is hyperplasia of bone marrow. So hemolysis is the symptom which is related with the pathology. Hemolysis occurs due to the abnormal shape of RBCs. And there is compensatory hyperplasia occurs with the bone marrow. The second symptom in relation with the pathology is jaundice. As a result of hemolytic crisis, the patient gets jaundiced. This is further helped by pathological changes in the liver, and the pigment may form in some cases in the rare conditions. Okay. So the jaundice and hemolysis, they are the symptoms which are related with the pathology. Now the spleen and liver. The size increases, the spleen, there is splenomegaly, there is hepatomegaly, it is due to sickle cells. A large number of hemosiderin get accumulated in the reticuloendothelial cells in these organs. Due to destruction, there is large number of hemosiderin which get accumulates in these organs, that is in the reticuloendothelial system. This causes infarction, and furthermore it causes fibrosis. Furthermore, this causes fibrosis, which will leads to contraction of spleen and cirrhosis of the liver, which will lead to contraction of the spleen and which induces the cirrhosis of the liver due to collection of this large number of hemosiderin in the RE cells. And next symptom, it is a symptom of crisis, that is intravascular sickling, which leads to infarction in the internal organs followed by crisis, which causes severe pain in that particular organ associated with fever, and this fever will remain up to 3 to 20 days. So intravascular sickling, it leads to infarction in the internal organs, which get followed by the crisis, which causes severe pains in that particular organ due to accumulation of this sickle shaped cells, accumulation of this abnormal cell. There is slowing of the blood flow, infarction to the internal organ due to blockage of blood supply, and which gives rise to induces the severe pain, and the fever which may remains up to 3 to 20 days. The next symptom which is related with the sickle cell anemia, it is related with the abdominal crisis. Okay, so this is related with the mesenteric vessel crisis, which gives rise to abdominal pain, nausea, vomiting, absence of bowel sounds, rigidity of abdominal wall, fever, and then peritonitis. So we call it as a abdominal crisis of the sickle cell anemia. Here, due to blockage or the slowing of the flow in the mesenteric vessel, which gives rise to excruciating abdominal pains, acute abdominal pains, which may be associated with nausea, vomiting, and absence of bowel peristaltic sounds. This peristalsis also get very much diminishes. It also gives rise to rigidity of abdominal. What is rigidity of abdominal wall? Any of you? What is rigidity?
Ma'am, stiffness.
Stiffness, yes. Abdominal wall stiffness. The abdominal, when we touches the abdominal wall, it feels rigid. It feels very much stuffed. It is not a soft consistency. Okay. So rigidity of abdominal wall. What is tenderness? What is meaning of tenderness?
Tough with pain, ma'am.
Yes, it is pain on touching of this physician. The patient will retract his body. That is, there is avoidance of the touch or the pains which get developed. This avoidance is due to some pains get developed after touching of the physician. So it is called a tenderness, and rigidity you can feel after touching. Okay, toughness of the tough consistency of the abdominal muscles. The next symptom which is associated with this sickle cell anemia is thrombosis. It is related with pulmonary infarction and intracranial infarction. This thrombosis will give rise to infarction of pulmonary artery, and there is intracranial infarction. Okay, thrombosis. What is thrombosis? Occluding of the vessel. Thrombosis will give rise to occluding of the vessel, stoppage of blood supply, and which gives rise to the supply part, it become deprived due to oxygenation and blood supply. So it suffers from infarction, which is pulmonary infarction or intracranial infarction. The next, hypertrophy of bone marrow. It causes typical Mongolian face, with high cheekbones and bossed skull. Anterolateral diameter is increased in the skull, which we call it as a bossing of skull, bossed skull. So typical Mongolian face, it get developed due to this hypertrophy of bone marrow with high cheekbones. The cheekbones also become high with bossed skull. Then next symptom is osteomyelitis. Blockage of vessel, they causes bone necrosis, which gives rise to infection in the bones, and then osteomyelitis, that is infective pathology in the bone, and it happens due to blockage of the vessels. Why these vessels get blocked? Due to sickle cells. They get accumulated. They could not squeeze out or could not pass with normal flow. So the flow of the blood, it become very much slow. In the macrovasculature, they get stagnated, stagnation of the blood supply, blood vessel, and this stagnation gives rise to blockage of the vessel, which causes necrosis in the supplier organ. It may be a bone. So supplier of bone, if get blocked, then there is bone necrosis, gives rise to infection in the bones, and which leads into osteomyelitis. The next and very important feature, symptom related with this sickle cell anemia is leg ulcers. Blockage of macrovasculature gives rise to infarction and then necrosis, which further more complicated with the leg ulcers. You are understanding my points? Yes, if there is any query, you can stop.
Yes, ma'am.
You can ask. You can interrupt. Okay. So, leg ulcers, it is due to blockage of the macrovasculature. It again gives rise to same pathology. Because of blockage, it gives rise to infarction and necrosis. And further, this necrosed area may get converted into the crater-like lesions. We call them as ulcers. So, leg ulcers get developed. Now this is a picture showing this pathophysiology of sickle cell anemia. It is clear on your screen. Yes, you can see here glutamic acid. It get during mutation, get converted into valine. It gives rise to abnormal this hemoglobin S. It get oxygen. After get oxygenation, it is biconcave, but deoxygenated, it gives sickle shaped cells. HBS polymerase get formed. They become, whenever this oxygen get corrected, they reversibly sickled. Okay. And whenever they become irreversible changes, it gives irreversible sickled, and they get accumulated in the RE cells, RE system in the spleen, which gives rise to hemolysis, congestion, and infarction in the spleen. You can see here this cells, they get blocked, the passage in the RE cells. Okay, RE system. Here you can see in the splenic cord, these are the sickle cell shaped cells. This is endothelium of the spleen. Now here you can see infarct in the bone marrow. Okay, microvasculature occlusion by the sickle cell. This sickle cell get occluded and there is infarct. Okay, this is venous sinus where this flow get blocked due to this slowing of blood flow due to the sickle shaped cells. And there is increased RBC transit time in the inflamed tissues. Okay, so inflammation. Transudation of the fluid due to occlusion. This occlusion of the vessel leads into occlusion of the blood vessel, which gives rise to transudation of the fluid out from the vessel. Okay, macrovasculature occlusion by the sickle cell. So this is the pathophysiology of the sickle cell anemia. You can see here in one picture. Okay. All of you got this points of sickle cell anemia? Then we will discuss.
Yes, ma'am.
Then we will discuss about this clinical effects of sickle cell anemia in detail. This this, there are two type of effects of sickle cell anemia. Okay, two type of effects. One effect is due to increased mechanical fragility. Mechanical fragility, that is, destruction occurs very much easily. Fragility, it is associated with hemolysis. The first clinical effect, it is due to increased mechanical fragility, which gives rise to hemolysis. This fragility will give rise to hemolysis. This hemolysis may lead into anemia. You can write it down also. Okay, clinical effects of sickle cell anemia. So first clinical effect, it is related with increased mechanical fragility, and second clinical effect, it is due to increased blood viscosity. Increased mechanical fragility, and secondly, increased blood viscosity. So increased mechanical fragility, it gives rise to hemolysis. Okay, so increased mechanical fragility, it gives rise to hemolysis, and this hemolysis, it gives rise to anemia. Now, what are the outcome of anemia? What are the various factors related with anemia? This anemia, it is related with leg ulcers. This anemia, it is related with cardiomegaly. It is related with splenomegaly, hepatomegaly. It is related with bone marrow hyperplasia. Now, all of you know what happens in bone marrow hyperplasia. That is bone marrow hyperplasia. You can see in this picture. In bone marrow hyperplasia, there is the first thing, it is related with compensatory loss to correct the loss of the blood cells, that is RBCs, compensatory hyperplasia, and second is related with the accumulation of the blood or stagnation of the blood. It is due to sickling of the cells. So bone marrow hyperplasia, again it is related with two factors, folic acid deficiency, which gives rise to stunted growth. The growth, it get restricted. There is stunted growth. And second, it is related with the skull bossing. Okay, what is skull bossing? Increase anterolateral diameter of the skull. So skull bossing. Now these are the outcomes of anemia. First is leg ulcer. It is associated with cardiomegaly. Cardiomegaly is related with heart failure. It will lead into heart failure. Then again heart failure may lead into hepatomegaly. Then anemia will give rise to splenomegaly. Again this hepatomegaly, splenomegaly gives rise to anemia. Then anemia will lead into bone marrow hyperplasia. It is related with folic acid deficiency, skull bossing. Folic acid deficiency gives rise to stunted growth. The stunted growth, it is related with restricted growth of the bone, the length of the bone and the development of the bone, it gets restricted. Icterus is the second factor of hemolysis. First is anemia, second one is icterus. This icterus will give rise to choliolithiasis, that is pigmentation due to pigmented collection of the pigmented gallstone. This part we discussed yesterday. So choliolithiasis. So these all things, they are related with increased mechanical fragility. Second part of clinical effect of sickle cell anemia, it is related with increased blood viscosity. Now this blood viscosity, when it increases, it gives rise to slowing or sludging in the microvasculature. Yes, any query?
Please repeat.
Icterus. Oh, what is icterus? Yellow
Yellowish
pigmentation. Yes,
discoloration.
yes. Yellow discoloration in the conjunctiva, on the skin, mucous membrane. Okay. So it is called as icterus. So icterus, it is due to hyper, which type of bilirubin get increases, conjugated or unconjugated? It is due to rise in the, as hemolysis occurs, that is pre-hepatic condition, pre-hepatic causes of jaundice. So the bilirubin which is unconjugated form, due to collection of the unconjugated bilirubin in the blood, in the serum, in the plasma, will give rise to icterus. And whenever this bilirubin get collected more in the blood, it gives rise to cholelithiasis due to pigment gallstone formation. This pigment is nothing but bilirubin. Okay. You understood? Yeah, Juhi?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So the next thing, next clinical condition, next clinical effect of sickle cell anemia, it is related with increased blood viscosity. This increased blood viscosity will give rise to stagnation of the blood flow, which gives rise to ischemia, then infarction, and later on it gives rise to hyposplenism and osteomyelitis. Hyposplenism and osteomyelitis. Okay, these are the effects of congestion or increased blood viscosity due to this sickle shaped cells. They could not flow very much easily. The flowing of blood flow is not much easy, and they causes the stagnation. Okay, sludging in the microvasculature. Sludging in the microvasculature will give rise to ischemia, then infarction, hyposplenism, that is infarction of the spleen, and later on osteomyelitis. So these are the clinical effects of this sickle cell anemia. Okay. So here the mononuclear cells reducing their lifespan considerably and giving rise to hemolysis. Okay. So this is the clinical effect of sickle cell anemia. Everybody got this points? Any queries related to sickle cell anemia? Any queries?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
मॅम
Yes.
एक क्वेश्चन आहे
हाँ बोला.
व्हॉट इज द डिफरन्स बिटवीन कॉन्जुगेटेड अँड अनकॉन्जुगेटेड बिलिरुबिन
Good question. So conjugated bilirubin, unconjugated bilirubin, it get conjugated by the liver enzymes, no?
येस
When it enters into the liver, it become conjugated form, and it releases from the liver in conjugated form for excretion. Normally it happens, but what is abnormality here? There is lot of hemolysis. More number of hemolysis will give rise to more number of unconjugated bilirubin enters, and a whole of this unconjugated bilirubin could not get converted into conjugated form because of lack of liver enzymes. The liver enzymes, they are very restricted in form. They are for conversion of restricted unconjugated form into conjugated form. But whenever this number of unconjugated bilirubin exceeds, then the capacity of liver enzymes to convert them in conjugated form, we call it as hyperbilirubinemia. Okay, so bilirubin exceeds in the blood, which is in unconjugated form, and we could evaluate this bilirubin as a icterus. Okay,
येस
you
मॅम
understood?
येस मॅम येस मॅम
Okay, so we will stop this lecture today, and we will continue the lecture from Monday. Okay, if I get any time on Saturday, we will discuss these points. If there is any query about conjugated and unconjugated bilirubin, or the other part, that is thalassemia, we can discuss about thalassemia on Saturday, or we will take on Monday directly. Okay, is that okay for you?
Ma'am,
Yes?
ma'am, there is one doubt, ma'am,
Yes, yes, you can ask.
but but not related to this topic, ma'am.
What is your doubt?
Ma'am, is there any accumulation of gas in blood?
In?